You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
So one of the things about recording a podcast is we can just show up looking however we like, right?
Yes, I can't believe this.
Now, I will say, you look fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I feel like I really rolled in kind of a, like, basically, like, essentially a bit sort of just like day old trash. Like, not that there's like, not that like I'm showing you my like boobs or anything.
But day old trash is not that bad.
Day old trash is not that bad, but like you look elegant and polished and lovely. And I mean, I will say, at least I'm wearing my Lizzo sweater from her coconut oil tour.
Oh, so
but,
good.
and my denim dress that looks like it has a bustier, but still.
It's very cute.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But this is also just like you're reflecting on like, hey, you don't even have to care about what you look like right now.
Yeah, I am very happy about that because I think that I honestly think that like that takes away 90% of the anxiety that I have if I was on stage. Like people have to see me and I have to speak.
And I should say like you are Joanne Tsung, a comedian.
Please.
No, it's
hardly,
true.
But
You're
okay.
You're a comedian. It's true. I've seen you comedian before, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think English is botched. It's not a real language. You've seen me comedy before, so yeah.
Yeah, and this is kind of a different episode of Pop This. This is the first episode in almost 4 years of recording where my beloved co-host Lisa Christiansen is not with us tonight. You have suddenly been bumped from guest to co-host. How do you feel?
I feel okay. Well, in preparation, I did follow Lisa on Twitter.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know if I can fill these shoes. Like she is pretty incredible. So I mean, I'll try my best, but like she's pretty cool, and I hope that I get to meet her one day and chat with her.
Yeah, we're just like keeping her in a small cupboard, and you get to meet her after the show. She's like, I can't be here tonight, unfortunately. Yeah, and it's again like a rarity. This is the first episode in almost 4 years that she's missed.
Damn.
I'm sorry she's not here for you as well.
Well, one day.
Yeah.
I'll wish.
Honestly, like, and it's nice to just keep dreams alive.
Yeah.
So
in this day and age, it's like a daily. I wish I could have an app that just allowed me to remind me of all the things that I should work towards.
I mean,
it's very hard with the news these days.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult. Like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, like, and this is a very sort of like unique episode. Normally, we're taping a few weeks ahead of time. Tonight, like we're recording today, and the episode's gonna be out like later tonight or tomorrow.
What?
So it's super fresh. Like impeachment stuff's happening, and the world's burning, and there's like incredible climate emergency strike on Friday. Like this is a hot week of wild stuff happening in the world.
Like I think that if you think that you look like day old garbage, the world right now is literally garbage on fire.
Yeah.
So it's worse.
It's the world's definitely worse. Like like I mean I at least put on my under eye concealer this morning. But I no longer have any lipstick. I don't think I've cleaned my glasses in several hours. And I have like an ingrown toenail that's really hurting.
Oh no, that's the worst.
I know
exactly how that feels.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. I had my whole toenail removed one time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because of that. It's a problem.
Can I ask you, and this is maybe not the freshest segue that I've ever done, but would you rather watch this movie again?
Oh my gosh.
Or have your toenail removed?
Oh my. Andrea, please. I would. Well, I mean, I think you'll find out very soon what I think, but I would probably watch the movie again and again.
Yeah.
I think that there's something I can take away from it every time, even when I'm thinking about it. I watched this with a friend, and so we discussed it in thorough heated debate and discussion.
Wow, heated debate. Awesome. Pop This. I'm Andrea Warner.
And I'm Joanne Tsung.
So excited to have you here. Thank you for co-hosting this episode.
It's an honor to be here.
I'm thrilled. We're talking about the movie The Lake House.
Yes, we are.
In our summer of Keanu Reeves, a brilliant year of Keanu, this is a movie that we felt we had to do. Mm-hmm. We felt compelled to do it.
I've seen Always Be My Maybe, so I understand.
I mean, it's always, we did, we had such a fun episode of Always Be My Maybe. Like, it was such a good time. I loved that movie.
It's very good. It's very well written, and I think that it's almost a glimpse into Ali Wong's head.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love Ali Wong so much, and I love Randall Park.
God,
I mean,
yes.
I love Keanu.
Yes.
And I love Sandra Bullock to a certain extent.
Sandra Bullock is iconic.
Yeah.
She has played such controversial roles. Really, truly.
Riveting stuff.
Yeah.
This is not great.
I will say that I watch it on like a Saturday morning with like 3 hash browns in my hand, and I did not know what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
Because I always have like, you always kind of have a bit of a like McDonald's coma after you eat it. So
Sure.
At one point I had to pause, like drink a glass of water just so I could pay attention and really understand what's happening in the movie. Because if you are not paying attention, you will get lost. And it's just, it's like a roller coaster ride that you can't shut your eyes for.
No.
You have to open them the whole time.
Because can you imagine, like, there is a world in which you can imagine watching this film, but not really paying attention and not understanding that there is just a 2-year time travel portal happening in a mailbox that's also somehow affecting the dog.
Okay, so the dog.
Wait. Before we get too far ahead.
Yes, okay.
We usually, we should say, this
yes.
is the 13th anniversary of the release of The Lake House. So The Lake House is a 2006 American romantic drama film directed by Alejandro Agresti, an Argentinian filmmaker, starring Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, and Christopher Plummer. It's written by David Auburn. It's a remake of the South Korean motion picture Il Mare, or Il Mare, which I've never seen. Have you ever seen it?
I watched the trailer.
Oh, yeah. What was it like?
I think I need to watch it.
Like, it's probably better than this.
It's a little bit better, and I think the gender roles are even more enforced, but
okay.
It seems interesting.
All right. Would you like to read our synopsis for us?
Okay, yes. So the story centers on an architect living in 2004 and a doctor living in 2006. The two meet via letters left in a mailbox at a lake house they have both lived in at separate points in time. They carry on correspondence over 2 years, remaining separated by their original difference of 2 years. Please solve 4x.
Yeah, seriously.
Like reading that, I was like, I had to do math, I think, in my head for a second, and I'm not good at that.
Honestly, math, I don't want to do math in a movie. I didn't want to do it in high school. No. I was in remedial math 11. Oh. Like, that's not where my gifts lie.
No.
And I'm going to read your bio, because even though you've been promoted from guest to co-host, I still get to read your guest bio.
Wow.
Joanne Tsung is a fat, queer, tattooed, tomboy femme, not always in that order, but almost always all of those things. I'd love to know which one you leave out periodically. Hailing from unceded ancestral territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, Joanne is a first-generation immigrant settler from Taichung, Taiwan. She has worked in production for Vancouver Queer Film Festival, Vancouver International Film Festival, Jazz Fest, Pemberton Music Fest, and Joanne performed stand-up comedy and just finished working on a fat documentary to be released sometime in 2020.
Hopefully.
I want all that information about that fat documentary, but for now, we have to talk about The Lake House.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, good. Yeah, so the time travel.
The time travel, okay. yes, the time travel, obviously. That's the whole movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wrote in my notes. The dog. Okay.
Yeah.
I love dogs. I'm obsessed with dogs.
Yeah.
I am literally that person that will say hello to your dog and then you.
Yeah, of course. And that's actually the way you should greet people is dog first.
Yeah. Dog first, right? Because you don't want, what if the dog is, yes, exactly. So and I feel like I'm always that person that asks about the dog before I ask about my friend. I'm like, how is your dog? Oh my gosh, how are you? I do remember you.
Yeah, yeah.
Your dog first. Though.
No, dog first, though, for sure.
So I know it's a dog first. And I was like, and so in the very beginning scenes, the dog is in both of the characters' scenes already.
Yeah.
And you're like, that is the same dog.
Yes.
That. And then there's always these like, okay, so obviously it's 2006. So like the music and I want to say like iMovie transitions. That like I know how to do.
And the autumnal turtlenecks. It's very 2006.
Yeah,
a lot of this film.
Turtlenecks.
Yeah.
I still have sweaters that were once turtlenecks that I cut.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are they just now like open-necked vests?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wanted to get with the times, but my budget didn't always allow.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But so the dog, so it pans, I feel like always, to this dog who looks far away, all-knowing and wise and forlorn, and I'm like, this dog is magical.
Yeah.
Because it time travels.
Of course. Do you think the dog is God?
Ooh.
Someone posed that somewhere. I can't remember where, but like, is the dog God?
The dog is it must be some force of nature that's trying to bring the two together.
Force of Nature was a different Sandra Bullock film. I'm sorry. That was
Andrea, we should probably just have a Sandra Bullock night.
Just name yeah. And honestly, just name Sandra Bullock films as well.
Oh my gosh, she has done incredible for herself.
Yeah,
she's
really
41 when she filmed this.
She looks great.
She looks amazing.
Yeah, she looks.
I was like, oh, she must be so young. No, she's 41.
Wow, that's pretty good. I mean, not to brag, but I'm 40, so you know, you're looking every year of it. It's great. I'm not saying that I'm as youthful looking as Sandra Bullock at 41, but I'm just saying.
I know you. I
could pass for like 35, right?
Andrea, you look beautiful. You're amazing. You are stunning.
Thank you. That's what we brought you in for. Is just to just tell me I'm pretty all night.
I'm here for that.
Thank you.
I'm a failed groupie, guys. Please apply within.
The dog, though, is really something special. I also, just 2 years is such a specific amount of time that is kind of both everything and nothing. Like, I don't understand why they at least didn't give us, I don't know, like, just a little bit more distance. Like, and how do they really catch up with each other? Like, how can you possibly be existing in these different times? And, like, I mean, I don't understand how any of that works. Like, I don't understand time travel oftentimes.
I don't think many of us do.
Okay.
I mean, I would love to talk to the Marvel production team because I feel like they're really good with doing that with, all these other movies that deal with time travel. But so my question is it 2 years to the day? And like, there's many scenes. So the question is, there's many scenes where they like, it's almost like a montage of them almost having a dialogue or like a conversation.
Yeah.
But they're supposed to be letters.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, did they just write one word on a letter and send it and then wait? Like, when do they receive the letters?
It's just a magical mailbox as well, right? Like,
there's so many questions.
Well, it's kind of as if they invented instant messaging.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. I'm like, are they texting this? Like, it really, how are they literally have a whole conversation where they're like, oh, and this. And they're like, and then what happened? And then I'm like, what? Did they just say that in that one letter?
And the way that, like, we're supposed to expect that they literally fell in love via those terrible letters, neither of them are good letter writers. And when they end up getting in that fight in the letter writing as well, like, I just... Gosh. It's the silliest thing.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. And so I feel like when they had that fight and then she was all like... crying and like, we're not going to be together because this isn't real, and we're all like, everyone in our lives are like, you need to get help. and they're like, okay, this is the realest experience I've ever had. And people are like, you're writing to somebody that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's real.
One of the family members at one point, I think they go like, well, as long as you're happy. And I was like, no. Like, if my sister came to me and said that she was in a passionate, like, romance with a man through her letterbox, I would
be concerned.
I'd be incredibly concerned. Like, there's no way I would be like, yeah, no, that sounds like you're definitely 100% A-okay. Because there's not enough other, like, magical stuff in the film, right? Like, the rest of the film is kind of like this, like, dreary, real kind of, like, you know, the characters are having these sort of, like, slightly miserable existences that aren't that interesting. Like,
and I will say, like, it's 2006, so I know these tropes of the lonely doctor and that, and the like rich, but like I want to experience the human experience as a regular person. The tropes are, I mean, you know, now they don't really work, but back then it's like, yeah, the doctor is so busy, so she's so lonely, and I'm like, it plays into this trope, and I'm like, that's not realistic. Doctors are not lonely. Hello? Not with that kind of salary. They're not lonely.
We also barely see her doctoring at all. Like, do you have any kind of concept of what kind of doctor she is? I don't, like...
No idea. But there was a scene there where she was, like, rubbing the paddles to, like, to like, help someone, like, live again.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a helicopter filming this or it's probably just, like, a building in a studio. But the whole body... lifts out of the bed, and I'm like, that is a dummy human, and you did a really poor job with showing that.
Yeah.
So there was no magic there.
No, the only, I mean, okay, the one magical thing outside of the dog, and outside of the mailbox, I do like that house, but there's nowhere to go to the bathroom, and
they just didn't show it.
There's nary a curtain in the whole damn place.
Yeah.
So you're just naked alone on a lake somewhere. In what, like a suburb of Chicago?
Illinois?
Yeah, it's in like the city is Chicago, and then like it's in Illinois.
Right.
But like I don't know how like is there a single place in the world where you would be able to like just build like just one house that gets a mailbox? Like there's no like that's
yeah. It doesn't seem possible, and honestly, the whole time when she wrote him that letter and she was like, it's gonna snow, and he was like,
oh my god,
like, so that scene, the sneeze where he like throws his head back, like breathe, some sort of breathing exercise happens, and then he sneezes and then like a single snowflake falls, and I'm like, this is so dramatic. And then for me, this is the magical moment of the whole entire movie. We can argue this, is when Keanu Reeves says to his soup, come to Papa. And I lost my mind. I was like, did he just say come to Papa to his soup? And and like no one is drinking beer and drinking soup.
Honestly,
who is doing that?
I think he forgot what it was to be a human man in this moment. Like, one, he doesn't know how to sneeze.
This is post-Matrix, though.
It is, I guess, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But, like, he doesn't know how to sneeze. He doesn't know how to breathe. He doesn't know how to talk to soup.
No.
Everyone knows you don't say, come to Papa.
No.
You say, get in my tummy.
Yeah.
And you never drink beer with a soup.
No.
Like, oh my God. No. What you have to do is a nice cognac. with your tomato alphabet soup or whatever it was.
Warm and like it has to be warm. That's weird to have this cold, weird contrast.
Yeah. And the whole like it's gonna snow, and then he's all like, no, it's so I had never seen this movie before watching it for the podcast. And had you ever seen it at all?
No, of course not.
Okay, great. So like when I got to the sneeze part, I honestly, I've never seen anyone sneeze like that in my whole life. And I had to like, because I've heard like, you know, Keanu is such a nice guy, and like, you know, and I really do like what I've heard about him so much, and I think he's very good in a lot of different movies, but
yeah, he does play a lot of different characters.
Not this one.
No.
So I actually
this is the exception.
I videoed that segment and then put it on our Instagram feed for the podcast because I just could not.
I saw that.
I could not like what
happened?
How did they get in the film?
Did they not just do another 3 takes just to kind of be sure?
Like,
how their sneezes are, I want to say like a subtle but very impactful.
Yes. I mean, I have thrown out my back sneezing, but that man threw out his whole soul. Yeah. And it smacked into the window.
Yeah.
Bounced back into his body.
Yeah.
And then a snowflake fell.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe the dog god.
The dog god, yeah.
Did it.
Sure.
Probably.
I mean, I guess. Like, I just, like, and that's the moment where he fully realizes, oh, time travel is possible. And maybe that's what the sneeze is supposed to signify. Is that's why, like, how, like, elaborate and insane and ridiculous it is. Because he's just, like, suddenly, like, oh, my God, time travel.
Maybe this is real. Right? Yeah. Because, like, I'm literally reading this letter, and here we are snowing.
Yeah.
When he was like, this is not going to happen.
But, like, I still don't, I don't think, no matter how we justify it, it's still the most ridiculous thing. I was really surprised by Roger Ebert's review. Can I just share that with our dear listeners? Roger Ebert gave this movie 3.5 out of 4 stars. And says, it succeeds despite being based on 2 paradoxes, time travel and the ability of 2 people to have conversations that are, under the terms established by the film, impossible. Neither one of these problems bothered me in the slightest. Take time travel. I used to get distracted by its logical flaws and contradictory timelines. Now, in my wisdom, I have decided to simply accept it as a premise. No questions asked. A time travel story works on emotional, not temporal logic. Which, I mean,
thanks, Roger.
Bless Roger, but like, my God. Even aside from the time travel aspect then, watching this movie about these 2 really dull people fall in love. Yeah. That's not 3.5 stars. This is not a love story that's like 3.5 stars.
No.
This is like watching a LL Bean catalog sort of come to limited life.
Yeah.
And then smush faces at the end.
But no tongue.
Like,
there was no tongue.
One of the most revolting cinematic kisses in the history of all time.
I'm like, if you're passionate, like, you need to touch tongues. Even for a moment.
I honestly would rather have seen him greet her, licked her face up and down. Like, I would like him to just suddenly take over the dog's body, lick her face up and down, and then back away slowly.
There would have been more passion there.
So much more. Like, it was, I'm sorry, I know we're jumping ahead, but like, I just like Roger Ebert's love for this film. Roger Ebert's love for this film baffles me to this day, and he's been dead so long. Like, I know that we can't go back. I mean, I have a lot of questions about some of his stuff, but
I
still.
would write to him if he was alive.
Well, by logic,
like, hey,
in this film, I can probably stick it in a weird mailbox.
By the lake house?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, but it's taken down now.
Yeah, I guess. It'll get to him somehow, though.
Maybe the mailbox is still there. If it was, the only mechanical part of this, of them flipping that red flag up and down, is the only, I want to say, I want to say, quote unquote, magical moment with music attached to to symbol that it is something's happening.
Yeah.
And that's the only time that I'm like, this is, oh, okay. So like, because I think sometimes there's movies where they're like maybe they're not humans or there's some sort of like magical aspect.
Yeah.
But you don't know until something that's out of the ordinary happens, I guess. You know, you know, something happens and you're like, whoa, like, and you had to like do a double take. That's the only part where you're like, did that just, what happened? Oh my gosh. There's a motor in that mailbox. There was a carpenter on this movie, and he was to build that flag going up and down with a button. That's the.
I'm really excited about all the people whose work you're acknowledging in these tiny moments. That's nice. That's really nice.
I think, you know, like, I guess it's because working in production and film, like behind the scenes and like as a general person of color, like you really understand the things that go into the face of another thing. Like you really get to, you understand because you are that person that makes it kind of all happen. It's kind of like Hidden Figures.
Yeah. The unacknowledged.
You know, and you're like, yeah, the unacknowledged person whose work was literally the reason why this got to happen.
Yeah.
So without that carpenter, mechanical man person, what would that scene have been?
And the sound designer.
And there was absolutely no, I mean, there was no way for us to know that the up and down meant that his letters arrived, right? Because how else would we have known that the letters have changed? You know, somehow in a blink of an eye, his letter is here.
Yeah.
Harry Potter style.
It's
so, you know? Oh my gosh.
Have you worked on a project ever before where you're just like, you know that it is not great what you are working towards, but you're still gonna like do a great job because that's what you do?
Maybe like my life. Like, I'm gonna try my best. But I know that I will probably not have a movie made about me. But I still have to try, right? We're here.
You might get a movie made about you.
Oh, well,
like,
you know,
I mean, anything's possible.
I hope it's not about time travel.
Like, what if you got to be in a time travel film with Keanu Reeves?
Oh my God.
Or Sandra Bullock.
Holler at me.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Like, that's a fun time.
Yeah. We could all be queer.
Yeah.
That would be a different story.
That would be a totally different story.
Yeah. They have to stop making remakes, really.
You could be a throuple.
Oh. I almost was in one.
Oh, yeah? Did it go well?
It didn't go well. And I honestly think, you know, some people just don't get it.
Yeah.
Some people get too jealous.
It's a lot of conversation, too, right? Like, in terms of, like, having, like, well-established boundaries and emotional intelligence.
Yes. Therapy is key.
A lot of nuance goes into these things.
Yes.
From what I understand.
Well, therapy is key as long as it's, you know, sustainable for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie could have used a throuple.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have been able to handle it. They don't seem that, like, emotionally advanced.
No. I mean, it seemed like, okay, there was one moment they also said, I can't remember if it was narrated or she revealed that this happened, but she was like, I just got off a 30-hour shift, and so she rushes to the lake house to drop off this letter. I can't remember honestly what was happening, but that was what was happening. And I was like, girl, ain't nobody coming off a 30-hour shift and driving away from the city to send a letter. I mean, I guess to me she's like, I'm in love and this is what I got to do, but come on.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of her priorities are not about her self-care. I feel like both of these characters could have used therapy. Yeah. Honestly, and let's face it, like a lot of movies, most of what makes a movie compelling oftentimes is the character's lack of therapy, frankly, because they've made so many.
The Joker.
That, oh my God, I'm good. I'm gonna skip that.
He needs therapy.
Angry white men. Oh,
well,
I think we've all seen where that takes us and where that goes, and
yeah.
I think we've all certainly spent a long time paying prices for that. I'm good. Like, you know, some more than others.
In real life, like, they don't really redeem themselves the way they do in movies. And
yeah,
so
that's true.
Another reminder of why film does
Can you
not.
imagine if the Joker ends up being like wish fulfillment for feminists and people of color? Like, can you? No. Like
Hello,
that.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Where's that Joker? I guess it wouldn't be called a Joker.
No, probably
No.
not. I don't. Yeah.
Be a senator.
I mean, if I also just really can't. Joaquin Phoenix is not my bag. So
True.
if Keanu Reeves was in it, that'd be different. That'd be really different.
Yeah.
What about the Christopher Plummer father-son drama? Like,
Oh
I
my
actually
God.
kind of was a little bit moved by that, and I found myself a little teary, even though the movie does not earn it
No.
at all.
No.
But I did find myself a tiny bit teary because I'm a sucker.
But what part? Like in the hospital when he's like, "Get me coffee."
I think when he yes, because I have such emotional reactions to coffee. No, when Keanu gets to see the book and gets to see that it was kind of for him or whatever. Like it's,
Yeah, like he was in it.
He was in it and like he counts or whatever. Like there was like an element there that and again I don't know why I'm such a sucker for like the tiniest modicum. Well, actually, it's probably because of my years
Relationship?
With
your father.
Well, partly, yeah. I mean, I did adore my dad, and he died when I was younger. But more so, I was gonna say is just like how much of a sucker I am in general for any depictions of male bonding, because again of my my being constantly in service to the patriarchy, and just my inherent stuff around that is if I can see men working through anything in any minor way or having some kind of small bond, I'm really into it.
Yes, and that reminds me of Lord of the Rings, which I haven't watched. I know. Listen, I'm going to watch it because
You don't have to.
But recently there was some posts about how beautiful the Lord of the Rings is for depicting the relationship of the men in the movie.
Yeah.
And how loving it is.
It's
they
true.
hold hands. They're so they embrace each other.
Yeah.
They call each other brother and all that stuff. And it's just
There's a real lack
wanna
of
watch
toxic masculinity amongst the are they dwarves? No.
Yeah.
Are they? Well, they've got weird feet. I can't remember what they
Hobbits.
are. Hobbits. Thank you. Oh my God. Oh, it's actually
Hobbits.
called The Hobbit. That's embarrassing. Anyway, yeah, the Hobbits. There actually is just a lovely sort of lack of toxic masculinity, and once they do end up being sort of a little bit toxic, it's because of the corrupting influence of sort of capitalism and that ring and that the value and the power and hierarchical sort of gross nonsense.
Yeah.
So there's there's some good stuff there.
There's some good stuff we can talk about.
But then you have to watch it, and it's so long, and it's
know.
forever.
Yeah.
And it's
true.
I would actually. I know this is going to sound
watching
terrible.
Avatar.
I would not rather watch Avatar. I'd rather watch The Lake House again than have to watch either of those films.
Well, it's just so long, right? Avatar's so long.
Everything is so, why all of those things are so long, and The Lake House was long enough. That it's a long movie. It's
Yeah.
not short.
No.
The sneeze comes halfway through.
And
there's
the
a
time
whole
travel
other half of the film. Yeah.
Makes it seem longer.
The time travel does make it seem longer. What about Sandra Bullock's boyfriend?
Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord.
But he doesn't even get a chance to sort of develop into kind of a we get an idea that he's kind of one of those gross kind of dudes or whatever, a bit possessive and a bit icky or whatever, but he doesn't even get a chance to be fully that. He just
True.
is the guy she cheats on and the guy she dumps a bunch of times, I mean, which I like. I'm pro that.
They have no chemistry, which I know that this reminds me of another part of the movie that I absolutely adore. I will get to. But he doesn't have any chemistry with her, on screen and in the relationship.
Yeah.
And obviously this movie is not about that, but it doesn't even, she's not even present for any of their conversations, and
Yeah.
she's just so sad the whole time.
Yeah.
And then he misses the mark with not calling her or like doing things for her that he thinks is a good idea.
Yes.
But she's like, I don't care about this.
I don't want these at all.
At all.
Yeah.
But then because she's so lonely, she like responds to him when he's in town and, does all these things.
And plus, I mean, she deserves to have sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't in the
know.
movie.
We never see her do anything.
I was real excited. And I was like, how are they going to do this? Because he's dead. Do they get to have sex? Like, I'm like, if they have sex in this film, like, how are they going to film it? Are they going to film it in the past or in the ghostly present?
Yeah.
Where she doesn't have sex, but if she does have sex in the future, if she gets to have sex with Keanu as he is a ghost, because he's dead.
Yeah. Is he like... So, wait, hold on. But isn't he he's ultimately alive at the end?
Because of the leather.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, she saves him, right? Like, we're not, like, this is not, like, officially, like, a love story that ends on, like, she is just in a relationship with a ghost. Like, he's managed to not be hit by a truck because she somehow saves him because she's, like, somehow they managed to, like, fix time travel?
Yeah.
Like, it's a real quantum leap, sort of like, we're going to go back and, like, change the future. And even though we're not supposed to because of the butterfly effect and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but then she's like, she ends up with her boyfriend.
But she ends up with Keanu, ultimately. Like,
right, yes,
like, yeah. But, like, oh my God, do you think she's the reason that we've, like, the world is now a hellscape?
Oh my goodness. Sandra Bullock, you messed everything up for your selfish wants and desires with this turtleneck man. I don't get it.
I like a turtleneck, but even I was like, at the end, I was like, I don't actually want to see a turtleneck ever again.
I think it's because it's paired with the slicked hair gel.
Ooh,
like, it's the haircut and the turtleneck. It's not just the turtleneck.
No, you're right. Yeah,
right? Because there are turtleneck now, and it looks good on certain people.
Yeah.
But it's the hair and, like, the flared jeans also.
I love a flared jean. Just
FYI, love the flared jeans.
Yeah, I love a flared jean. Like, I know it's because I'm a fat woman with hips, but I love a flared jean. Like, I just
gotta have room.
Really balances my tops and my bottoms.
Yeah, there's a swish swish.
Yeah. I feel good about the swish swish. What was your part that you loved? You said, like, an actual moment that you loved.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my friend and I noticed this. And so that iconic scene where they're like, well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to meet up? We got to do this. So they figure out and conjure a way to book the restaurant.
Yes.
In the, like, one day after for her, but then 2 years later for him or whatever it was. Okay. I'm also still very confused.
I still don't know. Yeah.
So they book this restaurant and he goes and he's like, I want to book 2 years tomorrow. And the hostess is like, no prob, because we're very busy. We're super busy.
Yeah.
And so, that's fine. I'll accommodate you. And so then 2 years later, or 2 years for him.
Yeah.
And then, but the day after for her. Yeah. It's the same hostess.
It is. And she's like excited to find out who has been like waiting to have this reservation.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So she did not move up at all in her position.
Nope.
She is the same. She's the same hostess. I was like, did the budgeting of the film not work out where they had a different hostess? But then I guess it would have to make sense because we want, like, it's almost like a psychological experiment. Yeah. Where they're like, if you see all the same scenes but with a different instance, you'll know that it's actually
time travel.
Time travel. Because nothing has changed aside from them. Yeah. So my friend and I were like, that's the same hostess. She has not advanced in her career at all.
Maybe it's like in France where like people who work in restaurants, it's like a noble sort of like profession. It's a career. Yeah. And like they don't want to go anywhere. Like this, like the focus is like you're doing this job and you're doing it well, which I think is actually like a really interesting idea. If people in service industries were paid like adequately, like then I can see that
same
being
job for 2 years.
Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I hope they have like insoles
Well,
and like a
yeah,
plush
super-
carpet to stand on.
A super fancy restaurant definitely
True.
does not exploit you at all because super fancy restaurants are all about like equity, justice,
Oh, my
and
goodness.
unions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. They love to not make you do overtime ever.
Would you say that, like, okay, some people do think this is in contention for one of the worst movies of all time.
Well, that's a little far.
Do you think that's too far?
I mean, like, we're spending a lot of time talking about this film.
And I
so
could talk
clearly-
about it for actually kind of days.
Yes. I almost wish there could be like a director's cut where we are just in, where they stop and talk and they're like, oh, in this scene, we had to get another turtleneck
I would actually
for the color of
I
the
would like
scene.
that explanation because, and also like there's some fun facts like the house itself was actually built for the film.
Oh my gosh.
On Maple Lake in Willow Springs, Illinois, with a maple tree in the center. The house has running water, no toilets, 35 tons of steel, and a crew of nearly 100 to build the house, and it was then removed after the film. Can you, like, wow.
That makes me so, like, it would have been, okay, obviously, it probably took a long time, a lot of material, and it's built with art in mind, right?
Of
Because
course.
his dad is this, famous architect who left the mom.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, why wouldn't you have just kept it and made it into like an art gallery?
It would,
Art galleries have no toilets.
honestly, agreed.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that people who work in art galleries don't go to the bathroom.
They do not.
We know that. That's
They don't
a
eat.
fact.
And they do not go to the bathroom.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There's a lake right there if anyone needs to go.
True.
Like, they can just do what they got to do.
True.
I just don't understand why they would build this beautiful place and then dismantle it. Like, I mean, if you've got a film that you're going to spend this much, like, how much money would that cost?
I feel like Hollywood doesn't actually
Care.
about all this. It's pennies for them. But
Yeah.
I think really what's upsetting is knowing how, because they talk about how hot it is, but then they can just open some sunroof, some mechanical. And I'm like, the heating bill must be through the roof.
Oh, it's all glass.
It's glass.
Yeah. In Chicago. Like, Chicago gets cold.
Yes.
It is,
snowing.
It's, well, we see that it snows. Mm-hmm. We know he sneezes violently in response to snow. He triggered the snowflake.
Yeah.
No, I just don't, like, there's
The
just
soup
so much.
beer combo.
There's just so much that's so puzzling about, and I would like the director to account for himself a little bit about, like, what his vision was for this film and if it met his sort of expectations. Like, because I can't, and I mean, honestly, like, Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock had great chemistry and Speed.
Yeah.
And they are, like, how can they have so little chemistry in this movie?
I think there was tongue in that one.
There was tongue in that one for sure. I mean, a
Yeah.
rumor had that they had sort of dated back then. So that's maybe something. But, like, they
All part of the process.
They volunteered for this. It's not like anyone, and they weren't conscripted into service for this film. Mm-hmm. I mean, they signed up for their paychecks. But, like, and Sandra Bullock, I think she would be such an easy person to have chemistry with because she exudes it herself, you know?
She's pretty cute.
Yeah. Like, I just don't understand how this movie can sort of, like, fail her on so many levels.
She's got, like, I don't know if this might not be politically correct, but she has kind of, like, in some of her characters, she plays, and you kind of feel like she's got, like, cute anxiety. Like, she's a little bit worried and, like, a little bit
Anxious,
but it's, like, cute because she, like, trips, or she, and when she has feelings for you, it's this, like, it's building inside of me, and I don't know how to express it properly, and I sort of fumble over my words.
She's Hugh Grant minus the creepy factor.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like,
yes.
Like, on many levels. Yeah.
She's very cute, very lovable. Yeah. So yeah, like, I don't know why they weren't able to, I think they tried to make it seem like they did have chemistry with some of the words that appeared on the screen as they were talking about the Jane Austen novel.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You have gentle, unguarded eyes." when she was like, I had long hair. I didn't look good that day. And he was like, well, I remember it differently. You had gentle, and you're such a beautiful woman. And I'm just like, oh, as she's rolling away on the train. And she's like, huh? Who's that man holding my book? And he's like, huh? I think this is yours. And he like knows, but she doesn't know. And it's just, but we do. We know. As the throuple.
Yeah.
As the third in this relationship, we know. Oh my gosh.
This movie would be so much better if we were in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. If we were to be able to be in it.
That's my dream scenario. Is like we sort of like, you know, in terms of sort of iconic pairings.
Yes.
Keanu and Sandra together. Where do they rank on like your list of like iconic Hollywood like pairs?
I would not say very high.
Yeah.
Because of this film, even taking into account their other films, it's not. They don't feel very hungry for each other.
No, they're
I think that's really what it has to feel like, even if you didn't actually like each other. But I think a lot of really, you know, when we think about epic romance, is that the characters off screen are probably, you know, flirt. Like, they have to have some sort of friendship, if not already dating or sleeping with each other at the time of filming,
or hating each other. Just some kind of impassioned.
And it really, so they have to be hungry for each other on screen for you to really believe that the storyline, the characters they're playing are real.
Yeah. Or at least, like, show up and kind of, like, do your job as an actor. You know? Like, I mean, because, that's the thing.
It's
like,
true.
Like, I mean, I think, you know, we've all seen different, like, films where, you know, you find out after that, like, they were very indifferent towards each other or whatever. But, like, if you show up and, like, just do your job, like, I feel like... And I feel like because we've seen them be able to do their jobs with other people and with each other in the past, like, it makes me want to put the onus on the director as it being like it's the director's failure.
Okay, Alejandro, hope you're listening.
Yeah.
Hello.
Like, I don't like to blame people solely for, like, a film's sort of, like, lack of success. But, like, I think that, like, when the direction is amazing, you don't notice it.
Correct.
And when the movie really feels stilted and mechanical and sort of unimaginative, that kind of does come down to direction.
It does.
Like, that's where you start to sort of feel it.
I mean, you are deciding the feel and the atmosphere.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess, like, arguably it could be a failure of editing, but I don't think so, because nothing about this...
The iMovie transitions, though.
Oh, yeah, okay, you're right. So it's a failure of editing as well as...
The only person I'm commending is the carpenter, really.
Yes, I think the carpenter did a great job.
Yes.
And so did that dog.
Yeah. Oh,
the dog did a great job. Yeah.
When she comes home and the dog greets her, it's so obvious she's holding a treat.
I know.
And I was like, oh, sweet dog. Yeah, it's a magical dog.
It is a magical dog.
So cute.
We do like to leave our episodes on sort of like a note of, like, does this pop? And so I know that you're new to this process. So if you don't want to go first, it's fine. I can go first, however you like it. This movie does not pop for me.
No.
Yeah.
I think that it pops because there is iconic music. The montages are... It's almost, for me, nostalgic watching it now. I think that it does not pop for that time. If I watched it during that time, it wouldn't pop. But because now, watching it now in the future, I think it definitely created a sense of nostalgia for me. The turtlenecks, the fashion, and the overall trope of rich father does not get along with his younger son, who is a little bit rebellious in the family business.
Yeah.
But honestly, now it's funny. It's almost comical. I think that's why it's so funny for me.
Yeah, I was like, does it...
It was not a romance film.
That's the thing. I was like, does it pop on any level at which it thinks it's supposed to pop? Or does it pop for you as sort of like an ironic enjoyment?
Yes. Yeah. So yes and no, it pops in different times.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So in 2019,
yeah.
Yes. 2006, no.
Yeah.
All right. Really, that's the point of this film. Time travel.
So then and how time travel is ultimately like kind of not successful.
No.
Except that they do end up together, so they win, we lose. So, and honestly, that makes sense. We also love to leave our episodes on something we recommend. As our co-host and guest, would you like to go first? Something
the honor.
that you... Yeah, I know, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I recently, from a Hinge match, it's a dating app.
Yeah.
So she recommended me to watch something called Gentleman Jack.
Oh, I've heard. Yeah, we've had someone recommend it before. But please tell us again.
Oh,
we haven't done it yet.
My gosh, I watched the entire season in one night. It's about 8 to 9 hours. And went to work the next day. It was very wild. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's super lesbian.
Uh-huh.
And she has some pretty intense energy.
Have you watched any of her other work?
No.
Oh, she's great.
I've not.
She's fantastic.
Saran something.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's got like 2 other shows that she has been in, British sort of like dramas. She's amazing.
And I'm learning so much. I'm learning so much about English history. I never paid attention to these things. It's literally how I learned about influenza, I think, or something about when I was watching Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
I recently watched the Downton Abbey movie. Highly recommend. It's so good. Mm-hmm. It's my guiltiest pleasure. Watching rich old white people talk about problems. But Gentleman Jack.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
That's awesome.
It is so funny and it's so good.
It's funny.
And I think that you learn to root for these characters that you didn't think that you would root for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Between you and one of our other guests, Sarah, who co-host Warriors, Bards, and Brews. They love Gentleman Jack as well.
It's so good.
Yeah, I'm really excited to watch it at some point.
Yes.
I'm going to recommend for my suggestion is going to be that everyone listen. I often recommend music, so I'm going to suggest everyone listen to the new record from Lightning Dust. It's out October 4th, and they're a Vancouver band, and I love them so much. Amber Weber and Josh Wells, they used to be in Black Mountain as well, but they've also been doing Lightning Dust for a long time. Now Lightning Dust is sort of their focus, and this is like Amber's record. It's called Spectre, out October 4th. Amber says that Spectre is her journey, and it's like her journey sort of stepping into her quote-unquote warrior woman sort of identity. So I'm very excited,
I'm
and
gonna check it out.
It's great. I've been lucky enough to have sort of like an early release of it, so humble brag, but it's so good. It's so good. Joanne Tsung, thank you so much for pinch hitting like this. You did a great job.
Thank you. I love doing this. This is so much fun. Oh
Yay!
My gosh.
Fantastic. Is there anywhere that you want people to like follow you or like hang out with you or stalk you or whatever?
Oh my God.
In a gentle, consensual way.
Stalk me. Aggressively. I would love it. Actually, I was coming out of a show and somebody recognized me on the street for my comedy, and they're like, "Hey, I know you." And I was like, "I don't think I know you. I'm so sorry." And he's like, "You think you do comedy?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness."
See, it's happening.
This is a wild moment. I mean, it's fun. I only usually do it at the Foxhole.
Yeah.
Which happens every Wednesday, but I don't do it every Wednesday.
Yeah. But the Foxhole is a great show, and Jackie's
it's a really good show.
Jackie's been on the podcast before as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah.
I cat sit for them.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's my favorite time.
That's so nice. So people can find you there some
Yes.
Wednesdays.
Yes.
At the Foxhole.
Yes.
Just in the upstairs part above the Fox Cabaret.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And thank you so much to everyone who's listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can hang out with us on our various social medias. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We also, you could rate and review us 5 stars on iTunes, etc. We have the Vancouver Podcast Festival is coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Just announced the headliners today. We are always so excited to be involved in that and helping, any way we can to sort of like get the word out about that. It's November 7th to 10th. And you can go to vanpodfest.ca to find out the schedules and get your passes to main stage shows and master classes and a bunch of free programming. Yay! Free programming will be announced pretty soon too. We record at the Vancouver Public Library. Andrea Gin is our producer, and she's gonna be like just working so hard at turning this around, basically right away. So this is gonna be the freshest podcast you ever tasted from Pop This. Thank you.
Fresh.
Thank you so much.
Of course. I had so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Yay!
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for listening. Bye.
Bye.